Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are wading into the weeds where high-tech material science meets some genuinely extraordinary commercial claims.
We are. We've been looking at sources detailing specific health products, things like zeolite derivatives, proprietary pills, even light wave patches.
And they all seem to center on one huge headline-grabbing assertion.
And that assertion is that these products can detox or cleanse a medium access control identifier, a MAC ID, from your body.
Okay, let's just establish the high stakes right away. I know that sounds, well, it sounds impossible to many of you. But we're going to spend this deep dive analyzing why this claim is being made and, critically, why it fails based on the infrastructure that's actually in place.
Exactly. When a company claims it can just eliminate a fundamental electronic identifier, they're not just making a health claim. They're directly challenging core security rules.
Rules set by major national entities.
Oh yeah, we're talking about regulations governing everything from cybersecurity to the Internet of Medical Things, the IOMT. These are rules established by groups like the FCC and the National Institute of Standards and Technology.
So the mission today is to really answer this for you. Is it technically feasible to cleanse a MAC ID? And what is this decades-old, federally mandated infrastructure these products are supposedly disrupting?
Right. To really get it, you have to understand the claim's audacity.
So let's start with the absolute basics. What even is a MAC ID?
Simply put, a MAC ID is a unique 12-digit hardware identifier. The best way to think of it is like an immutable physical street address that's stamped onto every single piece of equipment that can connect to a network.
Every network card, every phone, every smartwatch?
Every single one. Its whole job is just to make sure that when a data packet leaves a router, it goes to the right device and nowhere else. It's fundamental.
And what I found so shocking in the source material is that this is not some newfangled, bio-nanotech thing.
Oh, far from it. I mean, this concept is foundational to computer science. MAC IDs came out of the original Ethernet technology, developed at Xerox PR way back in the 1970s.
The 70s?
The 70s. The standard itself was codified by the IEE in the 1980s. So when these companies claim they're eliminating this identifier, they're talking about disrupting a standard that is older than most of the internet itself. It's a 40-year-old security cornerstone.
So you're saying this core identifier, the one these products claim to wipe out, is essentially ancient history in tech terms.
It is. And that immediately makes the burden of proof for these businesses just massive.
Right. And the sources we've seen detail that the proof they offer to consumers is, it's highly suspect.
It is. Companies might point customers towards certain apps, maybe proprietary ones, that supposedly let you visually confirm that the identifier has vanished. So the customer believes the problem is solved, cleansed.
But that's a visual confirmation on an app, not a network confirmation.
Exactly. That distinction is critical. And what's more, this MAC ID isn't just about your home Wi-Fi. Sources are very clear that this identifier is actively used by massive national systems.
Oh, absolutely. The sources show it's fundamental to national security infrastructure. It's used by the Department of Homeland Security for specific biometric data integration.
And it's also woven into the Electronic Integrated Disease Surveillance System, the EIS, which is run with the CDC and FEMA. So you're not just trying to eliminate some random string of numbers. You're talking about an identifier that's crucial to the highest level of federal data tracking.
That really sets the stage for the scale of this system.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift from these huge government systems to the most personal network imaginable, the one you carry around every day. We have to talk about the Wireless Body Area Network, the WBAN.
The WBAN is the key component here. It's a specialized, highly efficient, short-range network. It's designed specifically for e-health applications.
So things like continuous remote monitoring.
Right, and it prioritizes extreme power efficiency and security over, sheer speed.
And it operates on a 3-tier system, right? You've got the sensor layer, the sensors themselves, and they connect to a personal gateway, which then connects out to the wider network or server layer.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And that complexity, that layering, leads us to the biggest failure point in the whole cleansing claim, the sheer number of IDs.
This is where it really gets wild.
This is where the technical reality just hits hardest. When you look at WBAN architecture, you do not have one MAC ID. Every single node, every single device within that body network.
An ECG sensor, a blood pressure cuff.
A glucose monitor, an insulin pump. Each one possesses its own separate and unique MAC ID.
I think we really need to put this into perspective for everyone listening. How many devices are we talking about for just one person?
Well, a standard body sensor network might have, say, fewer than 10 nodes, so fewer than 10 distinct MSIDs actively communicating. But the governing standard for this, the AEE 802.15.6, it's built to support much, much higher densities.
How high?
It can handle up to 256 nodes per individual body area network
256 on one person.
on one person. And when you factor in the research into the smallest components, sources refer to a maximum theoretical configuration of up to 60,000 nanonodes,
60,000, including wearables and things?
including various wearables and implanted devices. So imagine you have a smart contact lens, a patch monitoring your heart, and a smart pill. To cleanse this, you wouldn't just need one key, you'd need 3 different processes to eliminate 3 separate federally recognized MCIDs.
All running on different protocols, probably. The idea of one pill doing that is just, it's truly mind-boggling.
And that coordination is the second technical nail in the coffin. These devices aren't just communicating randomly. They use very sophisticated cross-layer W-band routing protocols.
Meaning they break the normal rules of networking.
They do. They share information across different layers to constantly optimize battery life and data flow. They aren't using traditional Wi-Fi rules because they have to be incredibly battery efficient.
So it's like a micro-smart grid inside your body?
That's a perfect way to put it. Constantly measuring and optimizing power, channel quality, data traffic. It's essential for ensuring quality of service QS, which is everything for precision, AI-driven healthcare. You can't just turn off an ID without collapsing the entire safety structure.
And we should clarify where this data even comes from. We're not just talking about, graphene or radio frequency creating these signals.
No, that's a crucial clarification. The biosignals themselves, the autonomous, energetically measurable signals from your organism, that's the data.
Electrical, chemical, acoustic.
Thermal, optical, you name it. The system is designed to eavesdrop on the communication your body is already doing. Graphene is just one of many biosensor metamaterials. Sources mention gold, silver, black phosphorus. Your body provides the signal, the device and its MACID provide the transmission.
Okay, let's pivot now to the material at the heart of some of these claims, zeolite. The material science here is legitimate, it's cutting edge, and that's probably what makes the marketing so compelling.
It's a fascinating material. Zeolite is an aluminosilicate molecule. It's known for this porous structure, like a molecular sieve.
And that structure gives it unique ionoelectric properties.
Exactly. It can act as a superb ionic conductor. The charge moves through mobile cations and water molecules inside all those tiny channels.
And the sources show zeolite has very real, very important applications in serious bioelectronic medicine. Let's start with application 1, implantable devices.
Yes. Zeolite is used as an anti-reflective coating for things like pacemakers or advanced brain-computer interfaces. This coating drastically improves the efficiency of energy harvesting techniques.
Like tiny solar cells or RF harvesters.
Exactly. Things you need to power tiny W-band components in a stable, long-term way.
And application number 2 is in diagnostics.
Right. Zeolite-based dry electrodes are being developed for continuous wearable ECG monitoring. They're replacing the traditional wet electrodes because they're better for long-term biosignal acquisition and have high conductivity.
So it's a remarkable material.
It is. And this is where we need to address the business context of why a legitimate material can get tied up in these kinds of claims.
Which brings us to the Bayh-Dole Act of 1980. For listeners who aren't familiar, this is a U.S. law that allowed universities and nonprofits to own and patent inventions that came from federally funded R&D.
The intention was good, to speed up getting basic research into marketable products. But sources highlight that this creates a very direct financial incentive.
Which can lead to conflicts of interest.
It can. Studies of academic biomedical researchers found correlations between these financial ties to industry and a tendency to produce pro-sponsor results, where the study's outcome aligns perfectly with the sponsor's financial interests.
So the very system that enables these incredible advancements also creates an economic engine that can, according to these sources, potentially compromise scientific integrity.
And that can lead to the kind of exaggerated claims we're discussing. And if you look at the raw science of the material, the sources include a significant caveat.
What's that?
Research has shown that while aluminum silicates, which includes zeolite components, seem innocuous to some cells, they produce toxicity toward endothelial cells and macrophages.
So there's a real need for more extensive cytotoxicity testing.
A real need, yes. Far more than what was historically required when the material was first introduced into this space.
So that's the environment these products are in. Cutting-edge science, high financial incentives, then unanswered questions about safety.
Precisely.
Okay, let's zoom out one last time. Let's connect this personal network, your WBAN, and its dozens of FNIDs, to the colossal national and commercial infrastructure that is monitoring it.
That connection relies on mesh networking. This is being deployed now throughout entire cities, homes, hospitals. You hear terms like intelligent cities or intelligent hospitals.
And this requires huge infrastructure upgrades.
Huge. We're talking vast, multi-year geospatial integration using fiber optic networks and what they call electronic corridors.
And this integration is legally mandated. The wireless coexistence standard, set by the FCC and NIST, forces W-band systems, smart meters, and personal Wi-Fi to all work together.
And not just for convenience, for the Internet of Medical Things and for national security purposes.
And all that information is highly monetized.
Very. Commercial entities, insurance companies, security firms, financial giants like Visa and MasterCard are all using these networks to gather bioinformatic data sets. This is all contributing to what sources are calling a biotokenized economy, often using distributed ledger technology.
So your health data, the specific MCIDs tied to your physical location, they aren't just tracked by the government. They are essential cogs in a massive, real-time commercial data machine.
And what might be the most incredible part is that the system doesn't always need an external device to start communicating. It leverages your own physiology. Well, there's documentation going back to 2004-2011 showing researchers established that the body's own central nervous system, your heartbeat, your pulse interruption, these can be used for communication and encryption. The biosignals themselves are the medium.
This whole integration, this reliance on dozens of 40-year-old, federally mandated, commercially exploited hardware identifiers, this is what our sources are calling the network physiolome.
And that brings us right back to the core technical debunking. The claim that a single product can cleanse key IDs fails because these identifiers are not some easily flushed toxin. They are fundamental, they are numerous, they are physically tethered to specific hardware nodes.
And they're integral to this vast multi-layered architecture that's been growing for decades.
Exactly. The mechanical and regulatory realities just do not support the claim.
So the key takeaway for you, the learner, is really simple. Knowledge is your shield against these kinds of inflated claims. You have to move past the marketing language and focus on the verifiable mechanics, the how, of the deployed system.
You do. Always refer back to the legislation, to the FCC allocations to establish scientific standards. That's how you can discern the truth from a sales pitch. When you're faced with these claims, ask yourself, what physical part of the system is actually being removed? If the hardware's still there, the Yamaxi ID is still there.
And I want to leave you with one final thought that builds on this entire deep dive. Given that Maxi IDs are absolutely essential for quality of service, stability, and security in the industrial Internet of Medical Things, and given that entities like DHS and the CDC rely on these identifiers for national security and surveillance, if a product truly could instantly and permanently remove all MCASI IDs from the mesh networks, as it claimed, wouldn't that product stop being a health supplement and immediately become an actionable national security threat?
You would have to be.
It just highlights the practical regulatory impossibility of the entire premise.